We're coming up on developer conference season fast, and Google is up first with I/O 2019. That means we're going to get a lot of news and insight into Google's work on the latest version of Android, web technologies, apps, and AI. But this year, all signs point to some interesting hardware announcements too. All in all, we're going to get a lot to digest in the coming days, so let's you and I take a moment to run through what to expect from this year's Google I/O. First up, that hardware I mentioned. Google rarely talks up new devices at its developer conference, but the smart money is on the company revealing a pair of new mid-range Pixel 3a smartphones. Based on what we've seen so far, you'd probably be hard-pressed to tell them apart from the Pixel 3s we got last year. They use a nearly identical design, from the glossy and matte look around back to the pop of color on the power buttons. Since these are meant to be more affordable devices though, Google had to save money somewhere. We've heard that the standard Pixel 3a will have the same screen as its high-end counterpart, but the bigger 3a XL, or whatever it's actually called, will have a slightly smaller 6-inch screen running at 2220 by 1080 instead of Quad HD. And I can live with that, especially if it means that this version of the XL gets some better battery life. Maybe the most notable change is Google's choice of chipsets. The smaller model supposedly uses a Snapdragon 670, while the bigger one gets a Snapdragon 710. In the past, Google has made sure that both versions of its Pixel phones offer the same level of performance, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. We're also expecting one less front-facing camera in both models, but the Pixel 3a should feature 12-megapixel cameras and the Pixel Visual Core chip for faster image processing, so there's a very strong chance that we're going to get the same excellent camera performance in these cheaper phones. To me at least, the ability to take fantastic photos without even thinking about it is part of what makes a pixel, and for the right price, these cameras just might make the Pixel 3as a must-have for smartphone shoppers on a budget. Google started pushing the idea of assistant-powered smart displays in early 2018, but so far, the company has only built one of its own, the tiny Home Hub. That could change at I/O, where the search giant might reveal its Nest-branded Hub Max. Rumors and leaks suggest it'll pack a 10-inch HD display, stereo speakers, and a 12-megapixel camera for video calls. Of course, this is a Nest product, so that camera will almost certainly be used for motion detection and sound alerts too, turning this smart display into a key bit of home monitoring gear. We know this thing is coming sometime soon, but is it going to get stage time during the I/O keynotes? We're just gonna have to wait and see. I mean, after all, there's a lot of other stuff to get through, like the improvements you can expect to find in Android Q. The software has been available as a preview for a little while now, and it's already given us a pretty good idea of what to expect. Privacy controls for apps are tighter and more nuanced. There are shortcuts to send content directly to your contacts, plus revamped navigation gestures and chat bubbles to keep conversations going while you bounce between different apps. Oh, and Android Q will also include official support for foldable phones, since those are sort of a thing now. It'll be interesting to see how Google addresses the foldable future of phones after Samsung's Galaxy Fold was delayed because of our problems and other reviewers' problems with that glorious and frustrating screen. I/O would also be a great opportunity to fully explain some of the curious code found in current Android Q builds. We just might get a system-wide dark theme, and some code suggests we'll even see a proper desktop mode for those who want to use their phones as more than just phones. The first Android Q preview felt like using a slightly more polished, more thoughtful version of Android Pie, so if Google has bigger plans for Q, now is the time to start talking about them. And it probably won't be long until that early software gets a little easier to install. Google released a public beta of Android P at I/O last year for Pixels and several other phones made by companies like Sony and Essential, Oppo, Vivo, Xiaomi, and more. You'd be wise to expect a public Android Q beta very soon, and if we're lucky, we'll see it arrive on an even wider range of smartphones than before. Google will definitely talk about updates to the rest of its software and services too. We're just not really sure what it plans to talk about. We've heard whispers that Android TV might be getting some kind of long overdue update at I/O, but the rumor mill around Google Chrome and Chrome OS has been surprisingly quiet. That's not to say Google won't talk about them at all, just that it might not have anything huge to say at the moment. At the very least, we're comfortable assuming that there won't be any flashy new Chromebooks or hybrids to play with in Mountain View. We wouldn't be surprised if Google spent a lot of time talking about AI, machine learning, and the Google Assistant this week. After all, there's plenty of room for surprises here. Last year, Google officially introduced Duplex, an assistant-powered feature that can call businesses and make appointments and reservations for you. We can't say for sure if Google has been working on something equally as impressive for this year's show, but make no mistake, some kind of update on Assistant and Google's larger embrace of AI is inevitable. I also hope Google reveals more about its Stadia game streaming service. I don't think it's a stretch to say it's one of the most interesting, ambitious products Google has tried to build in a long time. The company already went on at length about the tech behind Stadia at this year's Game Developer Conference, but there's at least one Stadia deep dive session to attend at I.O., so we might get some crucial new details very soon. I'm sure I'm missing something here, but that's just kind of how I.O. works. It's Google's opportunity to show off the software and the features in the projects it deems cool. We know quite a bit going in, but it wouldn't be I.O. if there wasn't some fascinating surprises throughout the week, so to catch up on all of those, you're just gonna have to stay tuned.